Guys, I'm Kimberly from the Fat Quarter Shop, and on today's Classic and Vintage series, I'm going to show you the Postage Stamp Star Quilt. The block finishes at 18 inches, and it's super fun because you can use molded jelly rolls to make it. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to assemble the block. The block comes in a free pattern that you can find in the description box. And if you want to turn this into a quilt, like a crib, lap, twin, or queen, there's a low price pattern available at Fat Quarter Shop. So to get started, you're going to be stitching. I like to use white with this because of my background. So I'm matching my white, and I'm using Aurifil Color 2021. And you're going to want to use like a 1.8 stitch length, something like that, and a 1/4 inch seam. And we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch together a fabric A and a fabric D strip. And when we get there, I'm going to give you tips on how to sew the edge of a jelly roll. So you're just going to put your two strips together and line up the little edges. And you're going to consider the very right side of the edge part of your seam. And as I go, I just line up my fabrics, stop, line them up, stop, and then line them up and just go just like that. So now we're going to press our strip. I'm going to set my seam. And then we're going to press towards the dark. And to do that, I don't want it to be stretchy, so I'm just going to finger press it down and just iron right on the crease. And you notice when I'm ironing, I'm not doing this motion, I'm going, you just get it nice and flat. And now we're going to subcut this strip set. So for each block, you're going to need 8 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. So to do that, I am going to use the Creative Grids line, one of the lines that are perpendicular, and I'm going to trim. And then I will flip that over, and I'm going to first cut at the 5-inch mark. I always cut bigger and then go down to smaller. And I just make sure this lines up and this lines up. So I'm going to cut 5 and then 2.5. 5, 2.5. And then when you get further along, when you line it up, it's still lining up, but if it doesn't, you can retrim, flip it, and keep cutting to get a straighter edge if you need to. So now I have 8 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. So we're going to make some 4 patches. So to do that, you're going to just put those together. Pin right in the very center. I like to nest my seams, and your finger you can feel when it nests, and I like to pin right there. And I like to pin at the end and at the beginning. And I would pin, you need to make 4 of these, so I would pin all 4 at once. Go to the sewing machine and chain sew them together, and you are going to have 4 patches. Now we're going to work on our star points. We've got a large and a small. For all of them, you're going to take your fabric C squares and draw a line on the wrong side from corner to corner. I like to use a friction pin because it will disappear with heat later. Once you draw that, you're going to put it on the corner of a fabric F rectangle. And I will pin in 2 spots before I go to the sewing machine so it does not shift. This is a bias edge, so you don't want that to shift. So you're going to stitch directly on the line, trim a 1/4 inch away, and press. And that will look like this. Very simple, basic technique. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. Draw a line, stitch directly on it, cut a 1/4 inch away, and press. And you will have your large star point unit, and you need to make 4 of those. Very beginner, very easy. And you're going to do the same thing to make 4 small star point units, except this time you're going to be using a fabric G rectangle, but they're also fabric C squares. From there, you are going to be adding fabric H squares to the sides of your small unit. You'll just stitch a 1/4 inch away. So then your unit is going to look like this, and you're going to want to put these together, and you'll see that you've got a nice diagonal line going this way. You don't want to do it this way because you don't have a nice diagonal line. So what you'll do, that diagonal line, I'm going to pin on the both ends. I always pin, pin, pin. And here I have marked a little line a 1/4 inch in from the edge, and at home I wouldn't do that because I can do it by sight because I've been doing this so long. You just put your pin in right there, and then you put your pin in at the point. So you've got to, that will make sure that those 2 things line up, and pin. Do the same thing, put your pin in at a 1/4 inch, put that right at your point, and then you can put another pin in, go to the sewing machine, stitch with a 1/4 inch seam, and when it's all done, this is how your unit is going to look, and you're going to have perfect points, and you're going to make 4 of these. So now we have worked around the postage stamp, and now we're going to actually work on the center of the postage stamp. And again, we're working with jelly rolls, just use those same techniques I showed you, and we're going to make 1 unit that has red, white, red, white, red. So that's going to be your B and E rectangles. You're going to stitch those together to get this. And what we're going to do is subcut from here 3 2.5 by 10.5 inch rectangles. So you just put your ruler directly on the line, turn it around. I'm going to cut 2 5-inch strips. I always cut my larger size first and then my second size. And the reason why is the fabric will move less by doing that. And it saves time, and I'm all about saving time. So now we have 3 of these. Ta-da! 3. So we'll put these over here. And then we're going to do the reverse and make 1 of these units where it's white, red, white, red, white. And this time we're going to subcut 2 2.5 inch by 10.5 inch strips. And again, I'm just lining up my lines. And so we're going to build our postage stamp that goes in the center. And I love doing this because all of your seams are pressed different directions, so your seams are going to be nice and nested, and you're going to pin in each intersection. And this is your postage stamp unit. So now you get to build your postage stamp star block. So the most important thing that I found when I was working with this quilt is to make sure your corners are the right direction, because if you do that, it is not going to look as good. So you will just make sure your 4 patches go in, your smaller piece is on the inside, and your nice postage stamp in the center. And you're just going to stitch these together, press, these together, press, and then you're going to sew these together. And you'll want to do the same technique here, where you pin a 1/4 inch away and put those pins in, and when it is all done, I will show you how pretty all your points are going to look if you pin that way. So if you look Everything is really nice and perfect. Thanks for watching this postage stamp star quilt. Make sure to subscribe to the Fat Quarter Shop channel. Click the bell to be notified when I have a new video, and like this video. We'll see you next time.